The program is going so good so far. The next speaker would be a new minister, well, the now minister. He has a lot on his hands already. But he is actually minister responsible for ICT, which basically is associated with the NCTI. Honorable Camilo Gonsalve, and he's going to make some brief remarks. I think he has a little bit of musical background too, so I mean, I think he's no novice to this thing, right? So welcome, Honorable Camilo Gonsalve.
Good afternoon. Good evening. Boy, to bring me to something like this, next to a Grammy winner, and next to Willis, and in a room full of producers, and say I have a musical background is a real joke. I want to thank the National Center for Technological Innovation for hosting this event. I want to thank you for showing up, and I want to thank Ray Williams in particular for sharing his time so generously as he has been doing since he returned home triumphantly to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's good to see Willis. I haven't seen him really since our days in French's. And you know why you were in French's. I ain't going to talk about that now. But this is a very important event for the IT side of my ministry, because the technology involved in music has revolutionized the music industry. And we have producers here who could testify very eloquently to that. Not too long ago, if you wanted to record a song, you had to have a big enough sound stage to get your whole band together. You had to get your mics and your monitors right. You had to record it, and if one person got something wrong, you had to take 2, 1, take 3, and all the rest of it. And it was simply an innovation to have a big enough mixing board that you could have a few tracks to record upon. And some of us, with very limited means, had to record more than one instrument on a single track and all of these things. But these things are in the past. Technology has totally democratized the music industry. Now, you don't need a big studio. So studios have gotten smaller. Studios have gotten cheaper. You don't need the instruments. Some of your producers will tell you now that it is not, and I'm sorry to say this, Willis, but it's not who can play bass and guitar anymore, but it's who knows Logic and who knows Pro Tools and who has the mastery of the necessary apps and plugins to manipulate sound. And it has even made, to some extent, talent optional. Because there are people now who, if you hear them sing live, you wonder if it's the same thing you heard when you bought the CD or you downloaded the track. Because the talent and the skill of the technical people behind the boards is such that they can create fantastic soundscapes with very little raw material to begin with. Vincentian people and Caribbean people love music. We know not only our own local songs or regional songs, we know all the hit songs from the United States, we know all the hit songs from the United Kingdom. We know the latest songs from Jamaica. We know old songs that are still played on the radio. We have a carnival celebration where we basically dance for a whole week. We love music. And we have a strong musical history and tradition of producing excellent musicians, excellent producers. I mean, we could list calypsonians, musicians, and producers over and over here. And now it is time for the young people who also love music to embrace the new generation of music, to embrace the technical, creative side of music. Because that is really the next frontier. If you go onto your computer now and you Google, I don't know, music apps, you will have applications at a variety of price points that could help you record a song. If you're a musician, it is useful to you because it makes the process cheaper. But if you are technically inclined, you should be inspired by the presence of these apps as well and think, what could you do to make an app that can make some contribution to sound? I have an iPad there. The iPad has an app on it called GarageBand. GarageBand is not any full-powered app. It's not any professional application. The producers would laugh at it. But you can make, with GarageBand, a pretty decent song. You can lay down a drum track. You can lay down a bass track. You can put vocals in there. You can manipulate the vocals to some extent. You can record a song with an iPad in your bedroom that would have decent enough quality that could get you airplay in St. Vincent and the Grenadines on the radio. But you don't have to think about a full-featured, if you're technically inclined, you don't have to think of a full-featured app that can do it all in this way. What Ray won his Grammy for is a very specific app that does a very specific thing. I can say it because he won't be able to say it because it's his competitor. But there's a program called Auto-Tune that a lot of rappers were, when you hear this sort of metallic robotic voice, it's popular in dancehall as well. Jay-Z wrote a song about it saying, no more death of Auto-Tune. Because it made your voice manipulate to an artificial point. Melodyne is a much more natural sounding program, although it can be manipulated on the margins as well. But that is an application that does a very specific thing. It's about getting your voice in tune or getting sound in tune. There are apps that just add more bass to music for people who like bass. There are apps who get you better on beat, on rhythm. So you don't have to think about having this holistic musical knowledge to be able to create an app that can transform the music business. And all of us need to start thinking in these directions. Necessity is the mother of invention. Ray's program was invented because of the necessity that there are some very beautiful women and handsome men who actually have very little talent. And you have to make these attractive people sound attractive. That's the necessity that created that. But in our context, we have other necessities. We have necessities that are born of economic circumstances. We have necessities born of lack of space, maybe, to record. We have necessities, maybe your partner who is your singer has migrated, but the guy who making the rhythm is here in St. Vincent. Look, Vybz Kartel right now is making music from jail on his telephone. He's phoning in the lyrics. And somebody else is cleaning up the sound. So somebody can even be in jail and be recording music. So we have to embrace the full totality of music that we all love and marry it with technology. Because there is no longer this sort of organic music recording space. Now they have apps to make you sound organic instead of simply making music as you once did. So the musicians among us have to think about the possibilities of technology, and those who are technologically inclined have to think about the possibilities of music. And there are marriages happening between technology and music every single day. And there is no reason, why those marriages can't be created in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and taken advantage of in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. My younger brother is an audio engineer. He has a mastering studio in the United States. And his clients are based around the world. They email their music to the mastering studio. There's no reason, and I know some of our producers already take advantage of these things, but there's no reason why we can't have mastering, recording powerhouses right here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, because now we have the technological capability to take advantage of these sorts of things. I'll make my normal plug that Gerald always hears, that we still lack the broadband speed and price to take the fullest advantage of some of these things, because our broadband is still overpriced and underpowered. But you have my word that we will hear some interesting and exciting changes about that in the near future. But once we reach a certain minimum standard of connectivity and technological capability, there is no reason why the mega producers can't be right here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. In other countries in the Caribbean, they're setting up studios now where artists, famous artists, come to combine their vacation with their recording. There's a place in Jamaica called G-Jam, where famous artists go, record, enjoy some time on the beach as well. We can do things like that in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We can have music tourism. We have the talent to have that sort of activity here. Technologically, look for niches where you can tailor a sound. These things generally come from younger people because they know what the market wants. And you need to be confident enough in yourself to come up with these ideas and propose them. That said, you should always be grounded in a love of music. Ray teaches the history of music, the history of Jamaican music, the history of black popular music. So this is a man who loves music. And I think that it is manifest in all of the other things that he does, that he loves music. And the third thing, in addition to your love of music, in addition to your embrace of technology or your technical capability, is not to ignore the business side of the music business. We used to talk a lot in the past about starving artists, people who are doing something just for the love of it. But those days too are fast disappearing. When Dr. Thompson tells you about Ray Williams' biography, and I'll let him do it because he's a politician from North Leeward talking about a man from North Leeward. So I'll let him do that part. And I notice everybody is claiming to be your family, Ray. But success always has plenty family. But when you hear his bio, you will hear that he started a company in his basement of his parents' house, that went on to do $1 million in sales and was bought by Yamaha. Then you will hear that he started another company that went on to do $5 million in sales. And he has another company, a computer company, that was doing $1.5 million in sales. So this is a man who managed to marry his love of music with his technological aptitude, but also a very clearly a sound and savvy business mind. There's nothing that says that the arts is some sort of a second-class career. That, people must strive for a job in an office, moving papers from the inbox to the outbox, when you could be creating something and building something and adding to the richness of our culture. That is a far nobler profession. But there's no reason that you have to do it on the cheap or not to succeed and be comfortable from these pursuits. If you love music, do what you love. Create, produce, write, sing, compose. The technology is available for you to do it now, presently, but there are future technologies that exist in your own minds that you can bring to fruition. And I would be very happy if Ray, based on his lectures and his workshops, can inspire someone in this room to either create the next hit song or create the next app that makes some small contribution to the next hit song. We have to begin to view ourselves, as I've said before, not as consumers of technology, but as producers of technology. We can make apps, we can make programs. Ray Williams is an example of that. Let us build and create something here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We have the knowledge, we have the skill. Sizzler says, there's nothing in the system of which they create on their own. Let us create something of our own, on our own, here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, with the inspiration of Ray Williams and with the talent that all of you, I know, possess. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. I mean, you notice that he wasn't really reading anything? That was you know where that come from anyhow, so.
I tell you, bro.